Today on WBTV, we're going to be talking about our favorite Dead by Daylight perks, some of our Dead by Daylight perk builds, and everything else like that. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, we've made a lot of video in the past about on Dead by Daylight, playing Dead by Daylight, but we've never made a video specifically talking about Dead by Daylight perk builds and what perks we like. So without further ado, let's start talking about those. My build I've been using for about a year now is Spine Chill, Sprint Burst, Adrenaline, and then whatever perk I like from that survivor. So specifically when I played Nia, I added Urban Evasion on. Now that I've been playing Kate Denson, I've added Windows of Opportunity in that slot. When I was switching to Nancy Wheeler, I put Inner Strength in that slot, and I did take out Adrenaline. But I kind of just go any perk from that specific survivor that you're playing. So if I have a ritual that wants me to play Dwight, then I'll play Dwight. I'll make that exact same build, except I'll put like Prove Thyself or something from Dwight in that slot. And if there's no good perks from that specific killer or that specific survivor that you're playing, I just put in Borrowed Time.
My build, it has like two meta perks, but it also has my own twists and my own differences and variations from like the meta. So I have Borrowed Time and Spine Shield, as I talked about. I think those are two game-changing perks, and they are so strong that I always run them. I then also always like to have Sprint Burst because it, like as we talked about, it's so applicable in any situation to give you a little bit of a boost. And then for the longest time, I used to run Self-Care, and many people say that Self-Care isn't the strongest or isn't the greatest or it's a waste. You can just bring a med kit, but if your med kit runs out or if you don't have like enough people or you're playing solo and you need to heal and you're not going to waste your time looking for someone else, it'll heal yourself.
Or you find like a purple toolbox in a chest or something crazy like that you would prefer to pick up than your brown med kit that you bought.
So I used to run Self-Care, but now instead I run Inner Strength, which we talked much about, where you cleanse the totem, and it's a very efficient solo heal.
Yeah. So I guess from here we'll go on with a couple of other perks that we've made, other builds that we've made. So a lot of these builds specifically we use them when playing Kill Your Friends because unless you're gonna get every perk on one character, you're not really.
I am getting there on Nia Carlson. I almost have every perk, but
yeah, you definitely can do it. But unless you're gonna do that, you're probably gonna be very difficult to get all these meta perks or all these very specific perks on one character.
Mm-hmm. So do you want me to go first then?
Yeah, sure.
So firstly, I have a Sabotage build that I love to run when playing in like friendlies with Kill Your Friends with our whole group. So firstly, I run Breakout, and that's when you are in the radius, like a 10-meter radius of the killer, and they have a carried survivor, the carried survivor's wiggle speed increases by 20%. Then I have Saboteur, so I can see all the closest hooks to the killer when they pick up a survivor. Then Metal of Man, so Metal of Man got nerfed a while ago, and now it only happens when you take protection hits, but with Saboteur, or if I'm running a toolbox, and I run over and I try sabotaging a hook, the killer hits me in the middle of my sabotage, I get a Metal of Man stack. So if they decide to chase me after I unhook the survivor, and I've taken enough Metal of Man stacks, it takes effect, and I don't go down that time. And then I said like a filler perk that's something to do with the hook, so like if you do get hooked, you have something like Breakdown from Jeff Johansson, which destroys the hook when you unhook somebody or unhook yourself. Boil Over, which is when you're on the killer's shoulder, it slows down their movement and it makes your wiggle speed 75%, like it makes it like 75% less, I'm pretty sure, so it also makes you quicker. So if everyone's comboing Breakout with Boil Over, it effectively gives you like a 30% speed increase to wiggle off from the killer.
Okay, so one of the perk builds that I have yet to use, but I've been looking at doing it in Survive with Friends, is the Locker build. So I specifically thought of this one day that we were playing once I started leveling up Nancy. So this build is inner strength, head on, and then quick it quiet, and then maybe another filler perk. So you could either do something like, probably spine chill would be what you would add on to that. But basically the idea is that it's all based around lockers. So lockers, they're pretty easy to find all over the map. All you gotta do is cleanse a totem, jump in a locker to heal. As I said, if the killer's coming up to you and you jump in the locker, you use your head on to sprint out of the locker and
it
stun the
stuns them,
killer.
yeah.
And then in addition to that, if you need to sprint into a locker because a killer's coming up to you, or you can use quick and quiet to sprint into a locker, and then you can heal for 10 seconds, and then use head on to stun the killer coming out of the locker and sprint away. So it's a little bit of a toxic build survivor-wise, but it's all based around lockers, and I think it would be a really interesting build to kind of use. One other build that I would do is the beginner build. So because I am still a little bit of a beginner at the game, I've been working on my looping, and one perk that I think has really helped take my looping to the next level is Windows of Opportunity. So I was talking about this, I specifically bought Kate Denson because I heard about this perk and I was having lots of trouble with looping, and this perk definitely helps because it allows you to give an escape plan anytime you're working on a gen. So anytime you're working on a gen, you should always have an escape plan in case the killer comes, and it allows you to look around and see all the highlighted pallets around you, or if you're being chased and you're running towards an area, it kind of keeps you from running into dead zones, so it points you in the right direction.
See, that's one thing as well. That's why he says it's a beginner perk, because as you become more experienced survivor, you kind of learn on each map like where loops are and what kind of loop this is and how many times you can loop it. But like you said, this helps out beginners learn how to loop.
Better at different things like that. Another one that you could add onto that build for beginners is Deja Vu. A lot of people that I find who are beginners cannot find generators. So Deja Vu highlights the 3 generators close to you, so that allows you to not only find generators, but if you're working on a generator, you can see where the next generators are, and it kind of helps you learn the map. I did use this when I started out of the game, and now I kind of know where every generator is on the map. It helped me learn the maps quite a bit. Another kind of beginner perk that you could use instead of Spine Chill would be Premonition. Because Spine Chill, you kind of have to look or keep your eyes kind of in the bottom of the screen. So Premonition is just a noise, so it's a little bit simpler for somebody. And it's easier to tell because it only happens once. So you could just say, as soon as you hear this noise, go in the opposite direction of wherever you're looking. So that's a little bit simpler than as complex as Spine Chill is. And then obviously self-care is an easy beginner perk. You level up Claudette, you get self-care.
I like in the past when I used to play, I actually used to, like when I was a noob, I used to stack healing perks to build a heal build. So I'd give myself self-care to heal myself. I'd then do botany knowledge, which is like 33% healing item efficiency and healing item speed increase. Will make it, which after you unhook someone, you heal 100% times of the speed, and now on top of that, I can also add something called autodidact, which is another one of my personal favorites. It's, you get skill checks like going on during the match, and you can only get one big bar good skill check, and for the first 2, it makes you regress in healing, but everything after that, it greatly gives you a boost. So at 3 tokens, after you've hit 3 of the skill checks, it allows you to go up 10% instantly. 4 tokens, it allows you to go up 15% instantly. And then like 5 tokens, it allows you to go up like 30% instantly. Those are just estimated numbers, it's not exact, but still. You can be healing with autodidact and will make it and botany knowledge. You've gotten halfway already in 3 seconds. Hit a skill check, you're instantly done the heal. I just love being able to make healing more efficient and more quicker, because that is the one main thing that slows the game down the most. And some killers literally build themselves around slowing down healing. Legion. Like Nurse, like Legion, like Doc. Spirit also runs a Thanatophobia build, which slows down healing and overall work.
Okay, so moving on to honorable mentions / kind of like meta overpowered perks in the game. I mean, there's meta perks for survivors and there's meta perks for killers like barbecue and chili or other things like that. So without further ado, Blake's got a list. Blake's just gonna write them off here.
Obviously, like these are all perks that I think could go into your build and I think are very good, but just not good enough to go into my build. And then there's 2 that I think are absolutely broken and debatably like on par with Spine Chill, Borrowed Time, and then these other 2 are the 4 best perks in the game. I just don't like using them because they're so meta.
Yeah.
But Dead Hard is one, which I also prefer Sprint Burst, but Dead Hard, it gives a little boost when you're injured and you press the active ability button in a chase to avoid a killer's lunge and prolong your chase, and if you weren't going to make it to a window, you weren't going to make it to a pallet, now you do. Now your looping has become double the amount of time because you can keep going until they break this pallet or until you use up this full window and then move on to the next because of Dead Hard. And then Decisive Strike. If you don't have Borrowed Time, or if you do have Borrowed Time and the killer still tunnels you through 2 hits of Borrowed Time, you go down, he picks, or they pick you up, and you get put on their shoulder and you're about to be carried and double hooked like 2 times in a row. Instead, Decisive Strike, you hit that skill check, instantly get off, and you prolong the chase, or they give up on chasing you because they see it as a waste of time. Both of those perks are game changers like Spine Chill and Borrowed Time, and I think if you're looking for newer perks or better perks because your perks don't do enough, those are ones. Like I said, honorable mentions that I just don't use but I like. Autodidact I love, Breakout I love, Will Make It, Botany Knowledge. Dead Hard is good, but I prefer Sprint Burst. Adrenaline, as Wade mentioned, that he uses in his build, is also really good. And one of my favorites that I don't really hear much talking about as well is a perk called Distortion, which was a Jeff Johansson perk. And if you don't know if they have Borrowed Time or Tinkerer yet, you can use, or a perk that just reveal the aura of 2 survivors if they're both working on the same generator. Any perk that reveals your aura, Distortion counters that for 3 times. It doesn't reveal your aura, it actually hides your aura, and I think it like hides your scratch marks or noises or something like that for 6 seconds when your aura would be revealed. And it has 3 tokens for that, so I think it can be really good if you're working on a generator powering through and you know they have barbecue and chili and you can't get to a locker, or they have nurses and you don't know that and you're healing. Distortion activates, covers your back for not having your aura revealed in that moment, and now you know they have nurses and you can work around it.
Yeah.
So it's just a very handy perk. I still don't think it's strong enough to add into my build, but that's what this list is. It's honorable mentions. Yeah. Perks that are good in concept and good in gameplay, just not good enough.
Yeah. Another thing with Dead Hard compared to Sprint Burst is Dead Hard, you need a lot more skill and practice with Dead Hard.
Yes.
You have to time it perfectly. Sprint Burst, you just do it, and it just goes. Like Sprint Burst, you can do it. Yeah, like Sprint Burst, yes, obviously there's some skill involved. You don't want to waste it, but like you Sprint Burst, you pretty much, if you're on a gen, the killer comes up, Sprint Burst away. But with Dead Hard, you have to wait until the very last second, and then Dead Hard away.
I mean, necessarily you don't have to do that. Like just to, like I said, just to prolong to get to a window or to get to a pallet. You don't have to juke out the killer.
Yeah.
It's just, that's how most people use it. They wait for the killer to swing and then they use it because it gives you as much distance as possible.
Yeah, because the killer's gonna get stunned after this.
I also, literally, I do that with Sprint Burst myself. I wait for the killer to get right behind me while I'm walking, and then I activate Sprint Burst, and they whiff their hits, and then I'm even farther away from them.
Yeah.
It's just preference, really, Sprint Burst or Dead Hard.
Yeah, finally at the end. So for beginners, people who have just started Dead by Daylight, me and Blake are both going to give our recommendation of what survivor we would suggest leveling up first. So I mean, mine is pretty obvious in my head. I don't know what yours is. You can go ahead first.
Oh, I mean, I think I could probably guess yours, but yeah. Okay, I've actually talked about this quite a lot, and like we've talked about this quite a lot. Which survivor I think has the best perk build overall. And maybe it's not the greatest starter build, but if you're leveling up a character first, I think you should probably level up this character first, just because you get so much value out of all of their perks. And that character is Meg Thomas, because they have Sprint Burst, which I love and use in my build, Quick and Quiet, which is a good substitute, and I should have added it into my honorable mentions, but it can juke out the killer with like hopping into a locker, and your speed is like quieted, or even hopping over a pallet or hopping over a window. And then Adrenaline. And like Adrenaline is one of those meta perks that's just so good and so useful in the in an end game situation. So like none of Meg Thomas's perks are bad. They're all value, all good. So I think she is the most worth leveling up survivor.
I think for me it's tied. My gut reaction is always Claudette. If anybody asks, I say level up Claudette because self-care. Obviously if you get self-care as a teachable, you want that on pretty much any other character you have. So getting that first is always great. But another character that comes to mind is Nia, because Nia has Sprint Burst, or sorry, not Sprint Burst.
Balance Landing.
Nia has Balance Landing and Urban Evasion, which are two helpful perks, especially when you're learning how to stay like stealthy and how to not sprint right in front of the killer and get caught right away. Urban Evasion helps you traverse the map without sprinting all the time and leaving scratch marks, which makes you a lot more stealthy and a lot more hidden from the killer for the majority of the game. So without further ado, thank you guys for watching this episode of WBTV. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll probably be back next week, I think, with we might do some Halloween event gameplay. Because the video that we talked about last week about the Halloween event, you know, it's gonna be big, folks. So without further ado, thank you guys for watching this episode of WBTV. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with the guy at Freshco, share it with Maggie over here, you know, tell her to watch WBTV over here. And thank you guys for watching this episode of WBTV. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Thank you guys for watching WBTV. If you want to see more videos like this one, click the video on the right. If you want to see skits, click the video on the left. And make sure to click that subscribe button so you don't miss a single video.